Hi, I'm Andrew Berman from the Mortgage News Network. With me today, I've got Roy DeLoach from DC Strategies, better known to you as NAMB's official lobbyist. Roy, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Andrew.
So listen, I have you on today. I want to talk about bank LO testing, the need for it, and what NAMB has been doing to have conversations with the industry and, more importantly, with our legislators about bank LO testing.
Great. Hey, let me just give us quick background. Back when loan originators were licensed, were required to have education testing and background checks. The banks were able to get in there and sort of get their employees out of that requirement. And there are a lot of reasons for it. We won't go into it. But now that we've had some of these new things happen at some of these larger banks, where you had employees making signing contracts for borrowers, creating fake accounts, doing a lot of bad things. You've had that as an impetus, and then the last thing where where we're getting traction is this year, November of this year, is when transitional licensing officially kicks in. And that's basically, going to allow these loan originators that are inside these banks that have no requirement to be educated, tested, or any, these deep background checks, just like anybody that works for a mortgage lender or a mortgage broker shop. That's going to allow these these employees to basically leave the bank and start working with consumers, with trying to get a loan. And what we're saying is, hey, you know what? Let's just go now and start requiring. Not that they have to go to a state and get a state license, but they should at least have to pass the NMLS test like everybody else does. That's pretty logical. The same exact background check as everybody else. Let's level the playing field. Because in November, December of this year, you're going to be able to, these employees are going to be able to leave, walk out the door, across the street, and start working with consumers on, on these complex mortgages, the largest, investment of your life, mostly, without any kind of testing or background checks. So it's very dangerous for consumers.
Sorry.
And it doesn't matter, what it basically hasn't been right. And we just see this as an opportunity coming up because of the focus on data security, again, cybersecurity issues, and these let's say these bad actors inside these larger banks that have been caught. And that's what we're going to do, and we have we're going to highlight that at our legislative conference coming up in May 5, 6, and 7. We have talking points for this. We're trying to get there's a few congressmen on both sides, House and Senate, that see this as an issue and trying to come up with ways to fix it. And so if anybody wants to come and talk about this issue, please come. We'll teach you how to lobby. We'll take you up to the Hill to lobby, and it's basically get you into a relaxed state so that you can go in there and advocate for your industry. One last thing on this, on these bank LO licensing, and I shouldn't say licensing. I just want them to be tested like everybody else.
So, listen, I look at it this way: when they're working for a bank, they have a lane that they stay in, and there's guardrails from that bank. So they're just doing that stay in that lane, doing that one thing. And now they're going to go working for mortgage brokers, independent mortgage bankers, and those guardrails are not going to be there from that same bank that had that. And they have a little more freedom. And let's just call a spade a spade. A lot of bank originators are looking at what's going on in the mortgage broker world, and they're looking at it with envy, and they say, how do I get over there? So I think actually this is so important to have this. And I think actually it's knowing what to say when you go to DC, because Roy, I think it's very intimidating. My first time I went to DC, and I didn't get to experience the training that you guys put on as part of the legislative and regulatory conference. It was intimidating, I got to say. But you basically create a like a blueprint of what to do, who to speak to, just like the professional courtesies, and how to be able to effectively lobby your position, and you really can have an impact, right?
That's right. It's one of those things where, people in Washington, we do this all the time. We're very, it just comes natural. It does take a few years to get the feel of it, but everybody should realize this. Number one, come here. You know more about your industry than anybody on the Hill ever know. And what we do is teach you what to do, teach you how to boil it all down, to explain it in a simple term. We'll get you there to teach you the do's and don'ts, and how how you make sure no one's sitting there and tries to run out the clock, because that's a favorite. When I was with when I was a young lobbyist, that was the favorite thing of a member of Congress. It would be, well, let's talk about the football team back in the hometown. And that would waste about 15 minutes of our 20 minutes, and then we had to rush all of our issues into 5 minutes, because inevitably the member of Congress has to run down to the floor and vote on something. So, we teach you all that, and don't be intimidated. We role play. We'll send somebody up the hill with you if you're uncomfortable. So please come.
Yeah, listen, I think from a marketing standpoint, because listen, we're all thinking about how to make ourselves different in our local markets, and there's nothing more impactful than showing to your community that you're not only an expert in the community, but you're going to Washington D.C. to fight for their right to have access to mortgage credit. And I think that's a powerful thing. And I think it's a great business opportunity, besides just doing the right thing to make sure that you protect access to credit for borrowers. So if you want to learn a little bit more about the NEMB Legislative and Regulatory Conference, it is, by the way, for members only, but I mean, membership is almost free. It's very, very inexpensive. I look at it this way: it's a virtual insurance policy to make sure that we're still in business as mortgage brokers, as loan originators, and that we have the ability to do this. NEMB has been doing this for about 45 years, protecting actually the mortgage broker, protecting the loan originator. So if you want to learn more about it, go to nemb.org. Roy, anything else you want to say in closing?
Well, I'm just saying, I was going to add that, look, this is only 2 Starbucks coffees per month, and it will get you basically your membership into NEMB. And really, this is about protecting your industry. And I'll add this one thing that I learned a long time ago, because a member of Congress said this to me, and he asked, how many mortgage brokers are there total out there in the United States? Then he asked me, well, how many people are members of basically, it's like, how many people are members? And the most important thing he ever taught me was, well, look here, if you guys aren't A, members of your own trade group, and B, aren't showing up to Washington, D.C. to lobby, you don't care about your industry. Well, why should I care about it?
Yeah. Great.
So that's it. You have to show up in Washington to make your industry protected.
Yeah, and I got to say, you guys make it easy. I mean, really, you have a paint by number approach. You tell them what to say, tell them what to do, and you help them even make the connection. Wonderful. Roy, thank you so much for taking the time out of the day. We will see you in D.C. in May.
Thank you very much.